The YouTube hamster wheel has gotten the best of us, even Tim. You want to grow, you want more views, you want more subs, you want more money, but it all comes at a price. And many people never get there because they focus on the wrong things. Today, we're talking to Justin Brown from Primal Video, and he breaks it all down into 3 things that you need to focus on to help grow a massive YouTube audience for your business without sacrificing it all in the process.
Hey, welcome to the Video Creators Podcast presented by vidIQ. You know how you put a lot of time and energy into your YouTube channel for not nearly enough growth? Yep, we get it. We are here today to help you change that.
Hello, creators. How are you guys? It's so great to see you here for another Video Creators Podcast episode brought to you by vidIQ, like we do every Monday for you. Just hanging out, sharing more advanced growth tips and tactics, next level strategy, growing your business, helping you reach more people and change lives. I'm hanging out today with Sam and Blake, 2 of the YouTube strategists on the team here. Hey guys, how's it going?
Pretty good. How's it going?
Yeah, I'm doing well. I got my hand out of my cast now. I can now work with 2 hands finally. Use my mouth. Technically, I'm supposed to be still in it outside of work hours when I'm doing things, but at least I have flexibility to kind of like do normal stuff a little bit.
Can you type on your keyboard now?
I can type. It's a lot better than using like one finger. Yeah, like this before. And but like if I'm doing anything like lifting, I can't do that. But at least I can play video games. I shouldn't play guitar, but I still do. I'm bending the rules a little bit, but I mean, it's worth it. So
what was like the hardest thing for you that you couldn't do when you had a cast?
Well, I'm right-handed, so like my right hand, I couldn't do anything. It was just like I ended up using my mouse on my left hand, and I just it made me feel like I don't like this. So I had to switch over, but like it was just everything was frustrating. I missed playing guitar. That was probably the biggest thing. I couldn't do that. Driving was difficult with one hand too, especially not using the one that I normally would use. A lot of things were difficult. It was ridiculous.
Growing your YouTube channel, it can be a grind and it can be a challenge. And you don't really know sometimes exactly what to focus on. Well, Justin Brown from Primal Video came from a background behind the camera, more of the producer role. And then when he stepped out in front of the camera, had to learn everything from scratch because he did and made all the mistakes that we all do. He joined Tim here for an interview, and together they kind of talk about the 3 key things to focus on that really helped catapult him and his channel to almost 1.5 million viewers with a thriving business. So here's that interview for you.
Justin, good to see you, man.
Thank you very much for having me on.
Well, it comes to growing a massive YouTube audience without sacrificing your time and energy. That's what you talked about at social media marketing world this past year. How do you do that? Because so many creators and business owners, they really want to grow a massive YouTube audience, but without sacrificing your time and energy, that's the hook for me. I'm like, ooh, because it takes a lot of time, and not just the time in front of the camera, not just the time planning, but for a lot of us, it's emotionally draining too. And the headspace it takes up for us going into it and out of it, and the shooting and the posting and the comments and everything. So yeah, how do you do this? Like, what does this look like?
So the topic, as you said, like topic of the session, my session I ran at Social Media Marketing World, was how to build a massive YouTube audience without sacrificing your time and energy. And it's really that keyword sacrifice. And that a lot of people go into this and they're just doing what they think they need to do. They heard some YouTube experts say that, hey, I got to be consistent. I've got to just keep uploading. Some people even say the amount of people uploading. I remember when I started, the people saying you need to go daily, like Casey Neistat, or you need to go minimum 3 times a week. That's the sweet spot. Like, I'm someone that loves making videos, but I love not having to make them every single day. So it all comes down to having a strategy to grow, a strategy to constantly be refining, to try, test new stuff, see what works, what doesn't, what works with YouTube, but also what works with you. There's so many people that set all these grand goals and they hold themselves accountable to something without sort of the freeboard in there to pivot and adjust and to adapt. And that's really what we're talking about. So they end up sacrificing sacrificing their time, their energy, because they're doing stuff. They're going through the motions and doing what they think they need to do, but they're not seeing any results, yet they're hearing everyone, just keep going, just keep hustling, keep grinding. But if you're hustling, grinding, working your ass off with the wrong things, then you're not going to have that or move closer towards your goal. You're not going to have that success. So it's all about having a clear strategy. I know that you teach this stuff too. That's the most important piece, because if you just keep going and just keep hustling, there's a good chance you're not actually going to get where you want to go. You've got to be strategic with what it is that you're doing. So for us, we upload one video a week, but I'm not just coming up with, hey, a random idea. Maybe people will want this content. I'm a strategic business owner. For me, I don't even call myself a YouTuber. Like, for me, it's organic traffic. Yes, I make videos on YouTube. I get to show up and help and impact millions of people every month from this. But if it wasn't working for the business, then what was the point in us continuing, early on? There was no traffic for the business. So that's the beauty of YouTube, is you can have the traffic, you can have the impact, you can help people, and you can build an amazing business, amazing lifestyle off the back of this as well. And it's no one size fits all. So there is a strategy that we take through. There's 3 steps to this, 3 key areas to focus on for growth and success on YouTube. But it all comes down to that adding value first and keeping the viewer in mind, as you say too.
Yeah, I like how you're focusing on and I totally agree. We're in the quality game, not the quantity game on YouTube anymore. There were some times when the algorithm favored more heavily long viewing durations and watch time, and that's when we saw the rise of the daily vlogger and the rise of gamers and live streamers who would go for 8 hours a day and just get massive amounts of watch time. But to the detriment of other types of content like animation that takes months to make 2 minutes, or music videos that take a long time. And they're like, hey, what about us? So YouTube has thankfully dialed that back a little bit. So it's a little bit more even now for a lot of us. And there's no shortage of quantity anymore on YouTube. So quality is what people are watching, is what's rising to the top. And so doing one video a week that's intentional and strategic, as opposed to just this buckshot approach of 3 mediocre videos a week, it's not working anymore. I remember working with a guy years ago now, and he was a daily vlogger, and he was doing a video every day for 10 years, almost 10 years at that time. And he had 20,000 subscribers. I was like, dude, that's a long time. I'm not downplaying 20,000 subs. I'm just saying there's probably quicker ways to get there. And he wasn't really getting traction or results from it. And so we all know what it's called when you keep doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results, right? Yeah. So having a better strategy that focuses on quality is exactly what we're all about. Yeah. So what are these 3 main points that you're suggesting? Is like, here's what you do. Here's how grow without sacrifice.
Yeah. So I guess the first thing is you need to have a strategy for showing up on YouTube, right? So being strategic with the content. Let's look at the demand. Let's look at the supply. So we're going to look at, what are people looking for? What do people actually want? And is there, how many people looking for this, but is there too much competition and those sorts of things? So we can dive into that. The second piece then is we need to get clicked. So we're showing up somewhere. If someone clicks on someone else's video instead of yours, or no one clicks on yours, no one's going to see your video. You could have the world's best video. If no one clicks on it, no one's going to see it. And the third piece then is, once you get them clicked, once they're on your video, if they leave right away, that's not good for YouTube. It's not good for you, because they're not going to see that value, that effort, that time that you put into the video. They're going to leave, right? So you need to keep them watching. So we need to focus on showing up on the platform, getting clicked, and then keeping people watching. In a nutshell, that's all we need to do while we're coming from that place of being mindful, respectful to the viewer, and giving them everything that they want or need from your videos.
A lot of our audience is probably showing up and they're like, I want to show up less and get more from that. Right? As probably most people do, I would assume, maybe not. What thoughts, tips, ideas, strategies would you give someone who's like, here's how you show up and get more from your showing up?
Yeah, cool. So it was showing up. I mean, having a video show up somewhere on the platform. Obviously, yes,
the video.
you need
I
to
thought you
actually
meant, like,
show up and make a video, right? But we're talking about like being strategic with the content that you're creating here. And like for me, we don't just come up with a random idea, or if we do, we'll validate and say, do people actually want this thing? If every video you're creating, you're hoping to go viral, as a strategic business owner, entrepreneur, or someone who is looking to grow strategically, it's going to be a very tough game. I'm not saying you can't grow. We all hear about those stories of people blow up their channel to 1 million subscribers, 100,000 subscribers in next to no time. That's not most of us. For the rest of us mere mortals, we need to, it's the old like supply and demand thing. Like the people actually want our content because, as you said, like there's so much content out there now. Why ours? So this is where we need to look at what YouTube is actually serving out to people. What are the topics and things that people are actually consuming? And for anyone that's on the fence about making content or anything here, and they're looking around on YouTube saying, hey, there's already people making the videos I want to make, that to me is actually a better opportunity than you starting something totally new with no demand or things that people don't actually want or aren't looking for all the time. Like I'm sure maybe like there's definitely the case of if someone saw it, they would watch it, but what's to push YouTube? What's to get YouTube to actually put that in front of your right audience? It's a harder game.
Yeah.
So we want to look at what are the topics and things that people are searching for. And this is where we do come back to the keyword research. I know that a lot of people are out there saying that SEO is dead or whatever, but like in a nutshell, YouTube is still a very powerful search engine. And if you're giving YouTube a lot of those indicators and a lot of that information from an SEO strategy, it can actually help you show up in other places on the platform as well and browse and recommended. So what we do is we go to the YouTube autofill, we start typing in a few different words to try and gauge what are the things people are looking for. But it's not just to plant those keywords throughout the video or whatever. It's to get an understanding of if this is something that YouTube is telling me that people actually want, who is that viewer at that point? If someone is looking for this specific keyword phrase, are they a beginner? Are they someone who is more advanced? What level are they at? And what exactly do they want from this video? So even if I did come up with an idea for a topic, I'm validating it with that keyword research. And sometimes it would totally change the video we make based on, hey, if someone's searching for this thing or typing this thing in, and we know how many people are searching per month, what are they after? So that's why I come back to that adding value. We could just make whatever video we want, and we do from time to time, but we want to be showing up with almost like this low-hanging fruit, this pillar content that we know, like when people search for this, they're our potential audience. We want to show up in the top spots for this, not just hope to try and go viral.
I like how you're positioning keyword research, which is like we do this not to figure out which words to cram into which spaces on YouTube in our title or metadata, but instead we're using it to understand our audience better. To understand like who is this person, what do they want, what are they really looking for, and I would recommend, I think you would too, actually watching the videos that are showing up for those results. Like and looking for patterns in the titles and the thumbnails that are being used and the opening hooks and how the content's being delivered, and letting that inform how you're going to make your content. For example, you're going to do a mattress review video. And you notice that all the top videos that are showing up are videos, they all have I'm making this up right now because I don't know what it would be. But let's just say you notice that they all have a face in there that looks really tired and a mattress that has no sheets and blankets on it, right? On a comfortable looking bed, like something like that. I don't know. So they're like, okay, that's maybe a type of thumbnail I should make, is I should be looking tired on it, and don't cover up the mattress. It needs to be shown if I'm going to do a mattress review. I don't know. But like you look for those types of patterns, the opening hooks. Do all those videos start with someone yawning, or do they all start with someone laying down, or do they all start with a certain demonstration, or maybe not all, but most of them? And you're looking for those patterns to help inform your content. So you're learning like what's already worked here for people, and then how do I reproduce some of that success by doing something similar in my content and in my video. So the only thing that we've done differently is I think we've stopped calling it keyword research and called it ideation research. Just to which is the same thing you're saying, but the point isn't to get the right words shoved in the right places. It's more to let me do some recon work. Let me study what's already out there, what's worked, before I go ahead and make make my video. And that's the non-sexy side of successful YouTube channels and videos that a lot of people don't see. They just think that somehow they magically showed up number one. It's like, well, you can actually learn from others and plan that too. So that's good.
Yeah. So, I mean, very similar. Like for us, there's still so many people who call it keyword research, even though it's not even keywords, right? It's a phrase that you normally look, okay, this is what we're looking for. So we go keyword and topic research because you want to validate your topic, which also your topic then dictates your audience and what you're going to say. Because if you can get that to that place where someone clicks on your video and it feels like this video was created specifically for them. I'm not sure, like you've probably had this experience a lot. Wow, this person answered all of my questions. It wasn't too advanced. It wasn't too beginner. There was a good mix of story and you kept me engaged. That's can all come from that keyword and topic research or your ideation stage, right? And this is where too, in the doing that, you are seeing that how are people articulating their pain, problem, the thing that they actually want? So those words are like, there's a lot in them more than just search volumes and competition, but that stuff still does play. Like if you're a brand new channel, I wouldn't recommend going something that has high search, high competition all the time for all of your videos because it's going to be much harder for you to compete in that space. But at the same time,
you look at some of those topics, you're like, knocked it out of the park. Those videos are terrible. I can do better. Right?
Yeah. But that is still an opportunity, right? But it's not as someone that is looking to grow off the back of like a business and bring in leads and traffic and that stuff. It's like, is that a smart business move to go every video trying to hit those top super competitive things? Maybe not. But at some point, like you want to play with the big boys, you got to optimize some of them for that, or they're ranking in those top spots for a reason. But YouTube rewarding new content and wanting new recent content is a massive opportunity that we've all got. Now it's got to be better content, which is where I love your ideation when you're going through, you're watching and say, okay, what did they do really well? Why do I think this video is doing so well? And what could I do better? Like if I was starting this again right now, what would I like to see in this?
Yeah. Cool. That's great. And then getting clicked. What does that look like? What are your tips and strategies around getting the click after you've shown up somewhere?
Look, the biggest thing is you want to run those searches and things that you would be looking for your competition. I hate calling it that. The other people that are performing better than you right now or have already showing up.
We call it similar channels.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I don't like the competition word either.
Yeah. So you want to see what they've done in their thumbnail images and don't just do the same. Now test it. Like we A/B test every thumbnail image. The idea is you want to create multiple versions of your thumbnail images and you want to see which one gets clicked more. And this is really powerful because so many people come to me, I'm sure you hear the same, Tim, where people come like, Justin, there's nothing wrong with my videos. They're amazing. My thumbnail images are so good. And I'm just YouTube squashing small creators, blah, blah, blah. Like saying, no, what if people are just clicking another video? What if yours is showing up in the top spots, but people like something else is grabbing their attention? So if we really want to put like a framework or something around your thumbnail images, you want to grab people's attention. And it's in context again with what else has been shown up. So if everyone else has dark colors, try something bright. And this is where not just using the same colors, the same looking thumbnail images for all of your videos is really important. I know that at one point, all of ours looked exactly the same, but it's what is going to work for that individual video. So bright colors, we still use text. And I know that we're like for some channels, no text will work better. And this is where testing for your individual channel, for your individual niche. But for us, what we've found is 3 to 5 words, big, bold text. But we are doing a lot of how-to style content. We are trying to show up in search results. But you want to create that intrigue. Like you could ask a question, like best editing software question mark. Well, I don't know which is the best one. So I'll click on that video. So you want to grab their attention, create some intrigue. Ideally, best case scenario, I think, you want to try and help the viewer work out if that video is from them just from looking at the thumbnail image. So how do they get enough information about the video without needing to read the title, without needing to go any further? Like, yep, well, it's worth a shot. Like they're going to give your video a shot, and they probably have the mindset of, I'm going to give this 5 to 10 seconds and see if this is for me. Yeah. And that's where the hook then becomes really important. But like you're bidding for attention span here. So
Yeah. When it comes to these thumbnails, have you found any principles that you're like, hey, stop making these mistakes and start trying this instead in order to make you said some bright colors and, but yeah, anything else you've been finding in your experience lately?
So we've been getting really granular on our A/B split test, and we've been even trying like different types of fonts. It's a really obviously one, but obvious one, your big, bold fonts, the cursive stuff, anything small doesn't work. But we've even gone as far as testing having text boxes behind ours, like exactly the same thumbnail images, just to see if it makes it a little bit clearer. And for the most part, most of the videos that had the text box behind actually perform better. And I'm not talking by a little amount. It just makes it easier again at a quick glance. And again, this is where we just get our graphic designers now. Or for us, when we started, we were using Keynote to make thumbnail images. So you don't need to have, a graphic designer or use Photoshop or whatever, but it's just experiment with stuff. Don't just get stuck in, hey, this is my brand. This is how my thumbnails have to look. The other big one we tested was, unfortunately, our videos have performed better with my face on them. I wish that they didn't. I wish I didn't have, and it's not just
versus
my face.
Your brother's face.
I would say he's probably a better looking guy. So I definitely drew the short straw there. But maybe we get more clicks. But I feel like silly. I feel like an idiot sometimes, pointing, making silly faces. But then I think of, look, we're testing this stuff. If it didn't work, then we wouldn't do it. But also, like, if it means that people are actually going to click on the video and then go and see the video, then I'm going to do whatever it takes. I'm invested the time and money. I know that people want this stuff, and I know that I can help people with whatever the content is. Like, and it's exactly the same for most people that are creating content here. Like, we're adding value, we're helping people with our stuff. What's the point if no one's going to see it? So I guess the takeaway is push your comfort zones, because I feel like an idiot still just doing whatever, but it makes a big difference.
Yeah. Two of the things that we look for in thumbnails, and these are going to sound pretty subjective, and I think it's because they are, but one is, as you mentioned, we call it the glance test, like at a glance.
Yeah.
That's literally how much time people are going to give their thumbnail and title. At a glance, can they take in the whole image and understand what's going on there? Or are there any sort of sense of confusion like you would use if you're using script fonts or something? It's too small. It doesn't pass the glance. Big, bold letters, pass the glance test, high contrast colors and images, that passes the glance test. So we will literally, edit the thumbnail when it's small, like when people are going to see it in a sidebar, and then you look away. And then you try as best as you can not to have any preconceived ideas what this image is. You look at it and you glance away. And what stands out to you about that image in your head? Like, where did your eye go? And that's another mistake people make, is they try to, the eye needs to look at too much stuff. It needs to read a bunch of text, and needs to look at a detail of the photo or the image and something to get it. And then it doesn't pass the glance test anymore. The other principle is that does it spark curiosity, or does it create intrigue with a title and thumbnail together? And that's really important too, because that tension that happens in the brain when that curiosity is sparked is what is going to compel people to be like, I need to click on that, to relieve the tension that they feel. And those literally brain chemistry happening.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, what is it? And whichever title thumbnail pops the biggest question mark above someone's head is the one that's going to get the click.
I need to know. It's like you've opened a loop before they've even clicked on the video.
Exactly.
And they're like, I need to know what the best whatever is, or what's happening there. Yeah.
Yeah. And then that leads right into your third point, to keep them watching, where that opening hook needs to play off the title and thumbnail and create more intrigue, create more tension, to get them to be like, oh, what? I thought it was this, but it's actually this, or bigger than I thought, or more options than I thought, or whatever it is. It's gotta, as opposed to starting with hi guys, welcome to my video.
Yeah.
This is my third time making it. I hope you like it. Subscribe if you haven't already. My name's Tim, and we do it. And it's like a minute and a half in, and we still haven't gotten to the thing I clicked for, right? So give us some of your principles and tips for keeping someone watching.
I think the most important thing is let them know that they are in the right place. There's almost like that little bit of anxiety that comes like, I clicked this video. This guy looks like Chris Martin from Coldplay. Should I have clicked this other one? Should I, this one had a bright thumbnail image. This one had a dark one. But so there's almost like that anxiety that, did I click the right one? This one's 7 minutes. This one, another one was 3. So you need to let them relax into your content immediately. Like, let them know that they're in the right place, that you are actually going to talk about the thing that you mentioned in the thumbnail or the title, and is not clickbait, because we've all been there where we click on something, it's just a waste of our time. So you want to let them know that they're in the right place. Now you can do that verbally, like you can actually say, in this video, I'm going to talk about this thing or whatever it is, or you could actually show things. Like, you think of a TV show, they tease things out, like something that comes later in the show that you're like, whoa, what was that? I need to watch that. So you want to hook them in. Now from there, after that, then you can bring in some of those more introductory elements where you could introduce yourself, your channel, a bit about the content. Now, this is where we're trying testing all of this stuff. We've pulled out a lot of that now to just talk about the content. But we used to start our videos, hey, it's Justin from Primal Video, and you watch the thing just drop. The watch line, no one cares who you are. Are you going to actually deliver? Yeah. Right? So the same happens with the intro. Like, so you hook them in, then you want to give a bit more context about the video. But this is where we're even experimenting things like even giving away the answer. So if I was talking about editing software, I could say, hey, I've got 5 options for you. Option 1 is, and just start talking through them. And yeah, I mean, that's a great way to keep people engaged. I've opened 5 loops there where people have to hear out or would like to hear out all 5 options. So using top X, top Y lists is a great way. But what we're experimenting with now, which is working really, really well, is just saying, I've narrowed this list down to 2. My top 2 options are X and Y, and I'm going to tell you why these 2 and not all the other ones that I used to recommend. So it's like a little counterintuitive, but our watch time on those videos is so much longer because we're not holding anything back. We're saying, here's the options, and you would think that for some people that they would actually leave at that point. It's very, very few, because we've hooked them again and say it's really important. Like, but if you want to know why, my justification why, and why none of the other options, then, and we saw Ali Abdaal is doing this too. And you're just so grateful if it is a how-to, or you're trying to solve a problem or learn something, that they're not holding back from you. So you're showing that this person is actually genuinely there to help you, not dangling a carrot to increase watch time.
Well, that increases conflict, tension. It was like not all these others. You've introduced some, and it's a low-key conflict. It's not like the end of the world or the loss of love or something like that. But it's enough for the brains. It's like, oh, what is wrong with the other ones, or what don't they have? And you're going into that. I'll use the word negative, but not in the sense that it's like bad, but in the sense that it's introducing conflict to have a good story. It's a good storytelling method. I like that. That's good. We have found that if we open up the video seeing exactly what's in the title and thumbnail, people leave pretty quickly too. So if it's like best video editing software for 2023, and we open up the video like, hey, everyone, welcome. Today we're going to talk about the best video editing software options for 2023. We just see our audience retention go bloop. People just abandon it. And I think it's because we've released the tension. They're like, I know. That's what I'm here for. So instead, we found it works to pick up where that title thumbnail left off, maybe similar to what you're saying here, which is instead of repeating it, they already have that information. That's why they clicked. And so we'd open up and it's not Premiere Pro, even though that's what most people use, or something like that, right? Yeah. And then going from there. So it's a little bit jarring, but I think that's okay. It's not television here. Like a television, people need to do a ramp up and then, intros and then a farewell and exit before the next show comes on. But this isn't television. People can stop watching your video in the middle of it. They choose to watch your video as opposed to television. They're not choosing anything. It's just whatever happens to be playing at the time. For the most part, if you're watching live TV, of course, like YouTube TV and Netflix have changed some of that. But even then, you got titles and thumbnails people are choosing to click on for the most part if they're not already familiar with the show. And so trying to to think about the title and thumbnail and those opening seconds that continue where the title thumbnail left off. Like we work with one lady, she's a food photographer, and she, instead of doing I forget the exact video, it was something like how to reduce glare on your food or whatever you take. And the thumbnail was like an apple, a shiny apple that just had a bright spot on it from the light. And so how do you reduce this? Instead of like, hey guys, welcome, my name is blah, 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 here we're going to do, she's like, now the first thing you need to do is not actually that obvious. And again, same thing what you just suggested is like introducing some tensions and conflict. Like, is something wrong here? And she's like right into point one immediately. And it's jarring. People go back and they like, you see the audience retention on that video starts at 120%.
Nice.
So many people are like, whoa, what happened? Like, did I miss something? They're going back, and it ends at like 80% at the end of that video retention. It's because she's like, boom, right into the thing they click for. Now, that doesn't work 100% of the time. We've tested that a lot, and only works about half the time. It seems to be the difference is if it's too jarring, people are confused. Like, what am I? Did they not record the beginning of the video? And it feels like then that causes abandonment if there's any sense of confusion. But if you do it from do it from a perspective and do it well, that I'm right in the beginning of this video and I didn't miss anything for the viewer's perspective, then that tends to work well. So all these, I love what you're saying though, like test, try new things, don't keep doing the same thing over and over again and expect different results from it, right? Like that's really important.
The other thing that's been working really well for us is, I mean, you know, those videos that you see on Instagram, and Gary Vee was doing this for years and others long before him, where you had the progress bar along the bottom. So even if you got bored, even if you're losing him, you could see how long it was until the video finished. And there's so many subconscious things there. Like as humans, we want to see that line fill up. Well, I mean, yes, you've got that on YouTube anyway, but we add our own in with other, like you've got the YouTube chapter markers, but we add our own chapter markers in. So even if I've lost you at point number 3, you can see how long it is left before I hit point number 4. And it gives people the ability to jump around, but we actually have titles across the bottom. Again, it adds value to the viewer, but it also helps with retention as well. So it's what can we do? Like I just create talking head videos. I'm not vlogging. I don't move the camera. So they're very, I don't want to say lazy, efficient videos that we make. Right. So we then play a game with our editors, hide Justin's face, like make it engaging, use stock footage, use titles, graphics, whatever it is, make it interesting. But it's my job in the talking piece, the narration or whatever, like to keep it going, like keep the rhythm happening. No long pauses. Like we don't want any dull, boring pieces. We want to, again, be respectful for the viewers. They've taken their time. They've clicked on our video. We have their attention. Let's give them what they want without wasting their time. And it's the same, like you touched on earlier, like people calling out, smash that like button, hit subscribe, ring the bell. Why? We don't call for a subscribe at all. We'll have maybe a little subscribe thing that pops up after a value bomb or something. I'm like, hey, this would be a really good tip when people hear it. If they get this, then this could be a game changer for them. Then we'll bring up a little remember to subscribe title, but I never say it, right? Like I think if you're going to say it towards the end for the people that make it there. But there's too many people that just see people do that and think that that's what they need to do. It's almost like part of me goes like, don't tell me what to do. When someone's like, do this, I was like, what?
No, you asked me, I'm not going to.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, all I have to do is ask people, when was the last time you heard someone tell you to subscribe? And you're like, oh, thanks for the reminder.
Yeah,
sure, I'll do
that's
that.
it. I love it.
Like, never. Yeah. I've never done that. I'm like, I know how to subscribe. Now maybe I'm a different use case too.
I'm in the same boat there. I don't.
Some of my favorite channels I haven't even subscribed to, honestly, just because they show up on my homepage. Because like I could show you right now, but because I don't have my phone hooked up to do screen sharing. But usually when I open up the app, there's always a video from a certain channel. It's Viva La Dirt League, right there at the top. I think they're an Aussie channel, actually, if I'm not mistaken. But they always right there at the top, whatever the newest video is, because I know it's when I click and watch. And I think I watched like half their library of content before I click subscribe. Yeah. Same with Ryan George, same guy, or different guy, but different channel, but same thing. I read a whole bunch of watched a whole bunch of his content before I even decided to subscribe. But yeah, I know there's a lot of people who say like subscribe, ask them, keep reminding them they don't know. And I'm like, no, like our data suggests that people know.
Yeah.
And ask them to do it at the end after you've delivered value if you're going to do it. But we don't even do it there anymore. We just get them to watch another video, keep watching more. And then if they watch more and more of your content, you're just going to show up for them on the homepage and suggested. And that's way more valuable than getting someone to passively click a little red button to inflate some subscriber stats.
I think you touched on something really important there for, I guess, a lot of your listeners, and I know a lot of our audience. They want to grow subscribers. I'm not saying like that shouldn't be a great goal, but just think of how many channels you're actually subscribed to. For me, same as you. Like I go to YouTube, I watch a lot of content on there from people who I'm not subscribed to. The algorithm is that good now that you don't need to subscribe. There's I wouldn't. If your goal is to grow subscribers, I mean, that's awesome. But think about the impact that could have even without the subscribers. As you said, like there was someone that has 20,000 subscribers. They got a bunch of content, but they're probably getting a lot of views. I don't know. They might be getting a lot of views. They could be getting a lot of views and having a lot of impact and having people consume their content. They could still have a really successful business off the back of it. But the subscriber number, if that's the thing that they're saying, this is what I need to be validated, to have social proof, whatever, some really big businesses, some really like amazing online people, digital entrepreneurs, they don't have massive followings, but the businesses that built off the back from much smaller niche audiences are ridiculous. But if you just look at their channel and go, oh, they've only got this many subscribers, it's like you're not quite getting the full picture. So there's nothing wrong with having subscriber goals, but I do think like just think of how many channels you actually subscribe to.
Yeah, we had a creator we worked with, 3,000 subscribers on YouTube, making $2 million a year from that audience.
Yeah.
And because he had a good business model wrapped around that audience. So more views and subs doesn't necessarily mean growing a bigger, better, fatter, whatever business. You know, it's that business model is really important. So
as I say, back the other way, we've all heard those stories in the media of these, influencers that have millions of subscribers or followers, and they're nearly broke, right? So you don't need to have the number of subscribers.
That's right. Yeah, another creator worked with 1.5 million subscribers, and they're making about $600 to $800 a month.
Wow. Okay.
So, subscriber size is not. If your goal is to make money and support a family, like don't focus on subscribers, focus on business model. and strength of your connection with an audience, your reputation, your authority with them. That'll go a long way too. So,
for sure. That's what we like coming back to that value. Like there's a real human on the other end of it. It's not just a view, right? So how do I pack in as much value for this person? If we know what they're looking for and know what I want to show up for, let's help people with those specific pains and problems. And you build up a ton of reciprocity, whether they subscribe or not. Next time there's a video that could be of interest for them, YouTube will put it there on their homepage. YouTube will put it in the search results for them because your viewer behavior, you've watched that channel before. So I think an interesting number, and I'm not sure if YouTube actually have this, is if you could find out how many times someone had watched your content before they hit subscribe. I think that would be a really interesting metric.
I think YouTube's trying to downplay the subscribe thing.
Yeah.
I think they're keeping it there because there's so much in the ecosystem that revolves around it. But I think overall they're not they're trying to encourage people not to focus on just that number. And they're instead rolling out metrics and analytics like your new viewers versus returning viewers, which I think is a much more accurate number to look at than just pure subscribers. I would love them to see that. I'd love to see them add new first-time viewers, returning viewers, and loyal viewers or dedicated viewers or something like that.
Yep.
But to their point, they're like, how do you define loyal and dedicated? That's different from each audience and channel. And so it's not quite as easy as first time versus returning. So I was like, yeah, I get that. It makes sense. But still, like, I think when we think of subscribers, we think of loyal audience, and that's just not what it means anymore. It means someone passively clicked the little red button. That's all that means.
Yeah, right? That's right. So I think the metric they should remove is the rating 1 out of 10. I think that.
Oh, really?
I really think that it can be a total. I mean, you look at it, right? It's for your 10 most recent videos. Now, for a lot of videos on our channel, our videos don't take off and get hundreds of thousands of views right away. It could take 3 months for them to sort of filter into the search side of YouTube, or so we'll get some views on them. Even with our channel at 1.4 million subscribers, like we'll get some views and then we'll drop off. And then we know, though, that we're creating stuff that people want, that it could take a month, it could take 2 months, but then those videos go on and they stick around for years. We've got videos that are 8 years old, still getting thousands of views a day, still having people subscribe, click affiliate links. We're still helping people with that stuff. And that's why this strategy is we don't need to have so much content. I think we've got 480 videos on our entire channel. And there's people out there saying, you haven't started a channel till you've done 1,000 videos. I'm like, well, what if that's not the case, right? What if it's not the case? This is for us. It's not about amount of content. It's about adding value to people and choosing where you want to show up. Yeah. But I think that in the 1 to 10, right? I think for us, like I could. If I was a brand new channel and I released a video and I get a 10, I was just getting 10s all the time. Like, and then I get a 1 and back to a 10. Like, it's such this emotional roller coaster that it doesn't mean that if I get a 10, that video is not going to go on to be the biggest video on our channel at some point.
It's true. Yeah,
so
you're not wrong.
I think there's more downside in that being there than upside.
Interesting.
Controversial opinion.
Yeah. I think it's one of those dopamine things that creators love to see and get that hit. Like, oh, where's it at?
Yeah.
Where's it at? And but I could see the disappointment in that too, especially for a search-based content channel where it just takes a little bit of time to get momentum. Makes sense. Well, people want to find out more about you. You mentioned your YouTube channel, Justin Brown Primal Videos. The channel's linked in the show notes. 1.47 million subscribers as of this recording. So getting close to that 1.5 mark. So congratulations.
Thank you.
They can check you out there, but anywhere else they can go to learn more about Justin Brown and Primal Video?
Yeah, the YouTube channel is probably the best one, or our website, primalvideo.com.
Awesome. Thanks for being here, Justin. Appreciate your time.
Thank you very much for having me on.
Hey guys, I think that, one of my favorite things that he really kind of talked about was stripping this down to a real simple formula. And I feel like a lot of this is stuff that we talk about here naturally on the podcast and in videos and in consultations and working one-on-one with clients. But I really kind of liked his fresh take on SEO. So I really kind of feel like we need to kind of start there. What were some of your thoughts in how he didn't really make it just about keywords and SEO, but really talked more about ideation? How important do you feel that is for people listening?
I think it was a really good distinction, because a lot of times when we think of SEO, we think of kind of like a score or a rating that we need to work this in so that the algorithm is, it favors us on this day kind of a thing, where I really liked his take where it really is looking more through the lens of your audience. And it's like, what is the real language that they actually speak? And how can we ideate content and package it in a way for this particular human out there that we're trying to reach?
Yeah, for sure. He mentioned when it came to the keyword research, that's more going to be the ideation research. Again, what is my audience looking for? Yeah, we're looking up these words, but using their language, what are they looking for? And what's the patterns we're seeing from, these types of videos that we can use and analyze, that again, not copying, but knowing and applying it to our audience to kind of make it relevant towards them, right? The audience is the foundation of pretty much everything he was saying the entire time.
It always comes back to target audience, doesn't it?
It does.
Every time.
One of the things for me that when he was talking about SEO and he's talking about, ideation and really using keywords just in a sense of topic ideation, because that's how we've always talked about it. He made a reference to talking about competition, and I'm going to put air quotes around it, but, competition is a thing. We do have other channels out there that are in our space, and we do view them a little bit as competitors, even though, I just want to make a great video, and I don't care if my competitor makes a great video. If that serves the audience and they happen to have a similar audience to mine, that's fine. More power to them. It gives that person two things to watch. But I loved how he kind of framed it as you have to really look at what level the audience is at. I never really thought thought about it in those terms or really heard somebody put it that way. A lot of times, when we're making a video, we're thinking about where we are. This is something that this person wants. We're solving a problem. But really, what about that? Is there a different perspective that maybe we hadn't even thought of? And are we maybe doing things too easy, too entry level? Have we maybe not crafted something that's for an advanced person? Where is your audience in their journey? It's not going to be the same for everybody, and that's just kind of one of those things that came into my mind. What about you guys?
Oh, I totally agree. I feel like it's so important and such a valuable thing to bring up. Like, where are you in relation to where your audience is? Because sometimes, and I think, we talk a lot about kind of digging more into the why than just the what. And I feel like sometimes when you can speak the why into whether it's like a title, a thumbnail, or even just the language of your video, and you can lean more into the why, sometimes depending on where your audience is, like whatever that why thing is, sometimes they may not have even kind of verbally spoken that language themselves, but when they hear somebody say that, it's like bringing them along further into kind of wherever they're at in their journey, whatever type of niche you have for your channel. But it's interesting to think of it in that way, because if maybe it's too far along the path where they couldn't relate to that, that's valuable to know. If it's way too early on in the path to the point where maybe it's all focused on like the what, and they couldn't really relate to that, or it's not as interesting to them, being aware of maybe where they're at on that spectrum is really, this great insight. I really, that was a big takeaway for me too.
And really, when you think about it too, what exactly do they want from the information we're giving them? A lot of times we're solving a problem, but what's like the next step for them? Like what does that do for them? And is there maybe something that you hadn't thought of? I don't know. He just talks so much about bringing like as much value as possible. And I just thought that was a nice, fresh perspective to hear from somebody else. Cause we talk about that all the time, but, it was a cool thought. I thought. That sounds weird.
I think I thought.
We're going with it. We're going with that. His second point was really all about getting the click, right? The first one is really about your ideation so that you can actually show up, get your content to actually show up in front of your audience. But the second one being really, now we got to get them to click. There's so many things that we have to do, in order to really kind of level up our game to help ensure that our target audience is actually making it into the video. But one of the things for me is really kind of thinking about, you've opened up the loop of the story with the title and the thumbnail. I love how he framed it that way, because it is. The title and the thumbnail is a visual story, right? What else about, just getting the click and all the different ways that they approach that? Any thoughts?
He used the same kind of language we use all the time when it comes to like, what's that intrigue for that viewer, or the value for that viewer that we're going to try to portray in that title and thumbnail. So again, with the audience in mind.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think for me, one of the things that I think I resonated the most with was just experimenting, like just experiment with stuff. I think really looking first at who the audience is and kind of what we were just talking about as far as what level are they at, what are they interested in, and then from there making some of those tangible decisions of, keeping it simple. Do we use bright colors? What type of SEO, what type of language are we using in our titles and our thumbnails? I just had a call with the creator just before recording this today, where he has a men's clothing channel. It's very kind of like rugged, woodsy type of clothing. And so for his thumbnails, it just doesn't really make sense for him to do these bright pink, flashy thumbnails. And the ones that do really well for him are more of kind of those like browns where you can highlight kind of the leather of like these boots and things like that. And they do great. And, would I recommend all channels to use brown? Probably not. But for him, because he's experimented and he's really thought through who his audience is and what they might be interested to click into, it's totally working for him. So yeah, that was a big resonating point that he made for me.
Yeah, and I think. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Blake.
No, I was just going to. There's one thing that he also mentioned too that stood to me quite a bit around thumbnails. For me, like I am very much a visual person when it comes to thumbnails. I love the visual story. I'm always like use words if we absolutely have to, but maybe I try to avoid as much as possible. For him, what he mentioned was, again, knowing your audience. For some channels, the words is what works on your thumbnail. Not crowding it, but like it's for some people, and that whoever your audience might be, that resonates more than just that visual image. So understanding who your audience is and that psychology around it's like this will stand out to this person more than just an image, or vice versa.
Yeah, and I feel like too, being okay. And I felt like he made peace with the fact that after A/B testing all these thumbnails, the ones that perform better are the ones with him on them. Not how he wants it, but that's just what performs better. So pushing even himself out of his comfort zone, because that's what's going to get the click. And so really kind of making peace with, yes, I know titles and thumbnails especially, are hard. But if you can, he said it in the interview himself, you don't get them in, you can have the best content in the world. Nobody's going to see it. Mm-hmm. When it came to like the third point, we've talked about this over and over again, everything from, when you're talking about video structure, keeping them watching from the very first second all the way through to the end. There's a lot of similarity I found in things that we talk to our audience about, but I really loved how he talked about, if you don't hook them in and really let them know that you're in the right place at the same time in the beginning, he referenced that for a viewer, there's almost a sense of anxiety of, are you there? And I never really heard somebody frame it that way. And it really made me think, he's right. I am that way when I click into a video. Is this going to be worth my time? Is really kind of what I'm thinking. So if you don't do a good job of hooking me in, I am gone as a viewer. I don't know. Anything else resonate with you guys?
Yeah, he mentioned something as well too. Like most people, like when they, I guess the thought process, and again, I've never heard it put this way, but the thought process with that click is like, yeah, I might give it 5 to 10 seconds and then I'm going to move on. So it's like, they are thinking that same way. I'm going to give this a chance. Is it worth my time? And that same mindset. But I never thought about their thoughts thinking that way. It's a lot of thinking thoughts language there, but it's that's what I'm thinking. Like that 5 to 10 seconds is so important, because without that hook, I mean, people will leave. They'll give it a chance, but there's so much else that's competing for their attention.
Oh, I totally agree. I feel like as a viewer nowadays, it's never been easier to abandon a video or skip ahead, because from your desktop, you can hover over the timeline and see the tile where you're trying to go. Now we've got that whole like shadow retention graph thing. On mobile, you can do double tap and skip a few seconds ahead. Like, it's so easy. So the second that you don't drop them into the moment that they're expecting or they're wanting, it's so easy just to lose them immediately from there.
Yeah, and I feel like you can actually, and Tim kind of talked about this towards the end of this point, really is you could just drop them into like a continuation, which we recommend all the time. But if it's too jarring, then they're really confused, and that can also cause abandonment. So it's like kind of like there's this fine line between it all. But one of the things that I love that he talked about were the experiments that he has tried over time. And this can always be really fun. And I encourage you, actually, I challenge the audience to experiment on your channel. Do something that you have never tried before. And he was saying that how when they don't really hold back and they just, they might have 5 tips, but he said, I'm just going to talk about number 1 and 2 because those are the ones that are really key here. That's an unexpected thing as a viewer. You don't hear that kind of stuff. Usually people are like, yeah, I've got the 7 best ways for you to do this today. And after a while, that just kind of gets old. Right? Sorry, I don't mean to offend anybody listening, but if that's what your go-to is, but there's a lot of that on YouTube. how are you going to separate yourself from everybody else?
Yeah, I feel like for a lot of different topics and strategies, we've almost reached a point now where there's so many kind of like YouTube isms. It's the same as like opening your video with kind of the like, hey, welcome back. I'm Sam. And today we're talking about this thing. Don't forget to smash the like, you just hear it and see it so much that I think as a creator, sometimes we're just emulating what we're seeing. And so to maybe shake it up a little bit. And I mean, this, even what you were just saying, I think comes back to just keeping your audience in mind. What is going to be the most valuable for them? How do we serve them the best that we can? If it's just skipping ahead and maybe it's kind of shaking things up a little bit, yeah, why not try it? Why not go for it?
Yeah, I feel like the number one thing to always remember is there's a real human on the other end of your piece of content. This is about focusing on value, focusing on them. What are they going to get? And I don't mean just in like learn something if you're an educational channel or if you're vlogging, just entertainment. What's the feeling they're going to get at the end of your video? At the end of your story? How are you going to impact their lives in some way? Because as a creator, if you can do that, you will grow and have a massive YouTube audience.
So we just talked about a lot of tangible action steps that you can take into just implementing into your content strategy, growing your channel, reaching more people. And so if you want a little bit more help and some assistance, just talking with somebody who can hear some of your story, some of your goals, and help you take those next best steps, we would love to work with you and jump into an hour consultation with you. So if that's something that you're interested in, go ahead and visit videocreators.com/consulting. And we would love to talk with you there.
We like to leave you with a power tip here at the end, something practical that you can use. And today I got a great one. Yes, it has to do with analytics. This is something that you can actually access on your mobile phone, not desktop yet. But what they did is they updated how you actually select dates when you are looking at your analytics on channel level. So before, when you were looking at this, you could select a specific date range, say 28 days, 90 days, 365 days. Now you get to just tap a selected chip, meaning like a highlighted date range. It's so much easier to switch back and forth rather than having to go through multiple steps. But they also introduced new visualizations for this. They have things now like this week or last week and calendar months, all at a simple click with your finger. But YouTube, seriously, on the mobile app, I still want to be able to put in custom dates. Thanks for listening to another Video Creators Podcast episode. See you next week. Bye.